Hi, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. No, actually, this is Shark Boy from Lego, isn't it?
Shark Suit Guy.
Shark Suit Guy from the Lego shop. And howdy, 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 howdy is there.
Shark Suit Guy is because he was a guy who was scared of sharks, and then he conquered his fear of sharks by dressing up in a Shark Suit Guy made of Lego.
Aversion therapy.
Look,
we should introduce this. Mark's NOTCAST 383-ish, filming on Sunday, probably going live in the middle of the week. It's not Sunday, it's Bank Holiday Monday. Don't do that. And it's going to be about the 7th or 8th of May 2024 when this goes live. We were going to do a NOTCAST out yesterday with James before we saw the wedding present. Totally forgot. We just started talking about rubbish because that's what guys of a certain age do. They get a podcast thing and then they talk rubbish about stuff, and that's the law, right? Like that cliche, if you need to appear big in front of a bear, what do you tell people? I've got a Mercedes and a podcast, which I haven't got a Mercedes.
This is the law, don't argue.
So hi, I'm Doug. Howdy, howdy, howdy. This is Doug from Up, isn't it?
Doug from Up
does not like the cone of shame.
What's that? He's just met you and he loves you.
Love you. So, right, some more viewers' questions. Thank you very much for asking them, and hopefully you don't mind us answering them. So, first one, I think, is going to be from Matt Rainbow. Hi, Matt. Your question is, so you've talked about bands where you have to have it all, but what acts do you only have to have one thing? Do you have a thought, Graham?
Oh, I'd have to say an Alan Partridge quote, which leads you on to
the best of the Beatles, which was my joke, but I'll let you have that one. That's why I suggested the Beatles, actually.
No.
Yeah. So no, actually, you probably don't need just one Beatles CD, or you probably need them all.
I've got the answer.
Okay. Oh yeah. What's that?
I've got the answer. You keep on talking for a second.
Okay. So my answer is you don't need, and this is Billy Duffy's answer as well, by the way, is the best of Megadeth. He had a compilation in 1991 where someone said, "What's the best CD you've got?" And he went, "The best of Megadeth." And then someone went, "That hasn't been released." Went, "Oh yeah, it's some promo. I had it in the car."
Yes, there's a promo best of Megadeth that includes a bunch of unreleased live tracks from Wembley Arena, such as Hangar 18, Anarchy in the UK, etc.
Okay, so yeah, probably best of Megadeth, which of course I found out after I bought the Megadeth CDs, and then I realised he was a right-wing wanker. So your choice, I think I know what this is.
The complete album collection of Judas Priest. It's the one Judas Priest record you need. If you don't have any Judas Priest records and you need one Judas Priest record, this is it. But admittedly, it's cheating because it's got like 23 CDs in it, and it's the full album discography.
It doesn't have the Ripper Owens era, does it?
No, it doesn't have the post-Sony era or the SPH Steamhammer, SPV Koch Brothers year.
So it's got all of the Rob Halford vocals, right?
It's got all the Rob Halford albums, and it's a complete discography in a tin.
Yeah, it's very good actually. Obviously, the huge 42 disc set has now made this redundant.
But this is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, like
it's about 30 quid normally.
Yeah, I paid 40 for mine. The 42 disc set is something like £350 or something ridiculous.
And this is about a tenth of it.
Yay! Obviously, we're from the Midlands, birthplace of heavy metal.
Yeah, we was in Dugley the other day.
Dugley.
And
they found a fantastic record shop called
ST Records, and the font outside is in the same font as the Scorpions,
the most terrible band in the world.
So they indeed rock or indeed roll you like a hurricane.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say is, if you have a need for Judas Priest, this is the painkiller. So there's who you are.
That's not how he sings it, but okay. Right, so there you are. We also have Steve Richards.
Hey Steve. We've answered some of your questions before.
Yeah. So what albums benefit from being on CD rather than vinyl?
Oh, that's an interesting choice.
It is. Hang on, I'm going to pause this, and we're going to go and get some CDs.
Can we ask the inverse as well? What albums benefit by being on vinyl, not CD?
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Back in a second. Okay, that's a good question. Thank you, Steve. Graham is in the other room getting a vinyl record. Like me, he has too much stuff. So, albums that are better on CD rather than vinyl. Well, I've come up with 3 suggestions, and I think, Steve, you did say ambient was the best genre, which is absolutely 100% factually correct. Mint copies of ambient albums on vinyl are very expensive, like super mega expensive. I've got Orb's Adventures Beyond the Ultra World on vinyl, and it is, I mean, it's a fabulous album. I absolutely love this. It is 2 hours long, and it's a double LP from 1991. I've got the classical pressing, which apparently was mastered by a guy that specialises in classical and was printed at a classical pressing plant in Germany on vinyl, which is fantastic, but each side is about half an hour long. The limitations of vinyl sizes are approximately, in an ideal world, 23 minutes. Or if you live in the modern 2024, you do it on 2 vinyl platters you don't need for 45 RPM running 13 minutes per side, and then you charge 50 quid for it because that's a rip-off. Whereas obviously if you did it this way, then Orb's Adventures Beyond the Ultra World wouldn't just be a 2 LP set, it would be a 4 LP set with no extra music on. Anyway, Orb's Adventures Beyond the Ultra World, because ambient is minimalist and has generally specialises in quiet and loud, more surface noise there is. Look, mate, live surface noise. The more surface noise there is, the less effective it's going to be, because it then overpowers the actual signal. So Orb's Adventures Beyond the Ultra World is one of the albums that I think is better on CD rather than vinyl. I'm also thinking specifically of this fantastic classic of the ambient genre, KLF's Chill Out, which is fantastic. This is the Wax Tracks edition, which I think is either 30 seconds longer or shorter, depending upon cleared copyright samples, and was also significantly more available than the UK edition of Chill Out. I bought my copy of Chill Out rather later than most people, on the grounds that I lived with a complete pillhead. When I was in Leicester at university, he had it and he played it every morning, which means I never wanted to hear it again for quite some time afterwards. The third album, which I think works really, really well on CD, is this, which I absolutely love, is The End of Everything by Voodoo Child, which is a very mellow, relaxed, ambient album by Moby. This year, 1996, that this was released, Moby recorded 3 albums: Animal Rights, a one man in his bedroom screaming about his broken heart, hardcore classic. I absolutely love it. The End of Everything, which is the mellow flip side of that, and then an album called Little Idiot, which was ambient and is only on CD. So basically, ambient as a genre should be on CD rather than vinyl. Quick, Graham, go.
Did you not pick one more? Pick
Oh,
one more.
yeah. And then I was going to use this as the flip to go, which ones are better on vinyl or CD?
Do it.
Yeah, okay. So, albums that are better on vinyl, Jean-Michel Jarre's Waiting for Costo, which is an unusual choice, because the Waiting for Costo title track is 46 minutes 53 seconds long. And where are you going?
I thought of something else.
Okay, Waiting for Costo has on the vinyl edition a 22-minute edit, and you can't really tell the difference between the two mixes. But obviously the limitations of the vinyl size put inside are that Waiting for Costo in its original form couldn't actually be pressed on vinyl unless it was split into 2. Now you can get, this is where I'm going to get geeky, you can get up to about 45 minutes of audio on a 12-inch vinyl album, but only spoken words, because it has such a narrow range that you can cram more grooves in, and it's still a very, very quiet pressing.
I think the longest vinyl album I ever owned on one side was Nagoi Katsi by Philip Glass. It's about 34 minutes on each side. But there's a lot of very quiet passages and a lot of very loud passages.
You
Which means
sure?
yes.
That's not Power Katsi.
Oh no. Did I say Nagoi Katsi? I meant
Yes.
Power Katsi, sorry, because I don't think Nagoi Katsi came out on vinyl. But Power
That's your
Katsi.
obligatory reference to the Katsi films.
So that's about 67 minutes long in total. That's 34 minutes ish on each side. Very quiet passages, mastered really quietly. And the problem is that means it's got a lot of crackle, and this is why a lot of the music in the ambient genre is better on CD than vinyl. So I've made out some nominations here. Okay, so that's Slipknot. Don't respect. This is your new national anthem, Luciana by Juno Reactor. If anyone knows this is an ambient album. This album is exceedingly quiet. This is essentially just like sticking your stereo on and listening to clouds moving by very, very slowly. Because
it's the ambient hum that you've got through the cables.
Yeah.
Which I can hear, actually.
Mains hum.
Yeah, I can hear.
Your hearing is less fucked than mine.
No, but when I have the stereo on at home and I'm not playing anything, I can hear when it's just switched on, because I can hear it comes through.
Is this like last night at the wedding present?
No, it isn't.
Okay, so Luciana by Juno Reactor is a very, very quiet album that's basically just like listening to clouds moving. It's on vinyl as well. It's about But if you have it on vinyl, because you've got the crackles and the distortions, it takes you out of the listening experience. Similar album to that is Thursday Afternoon by Brian Eno, also available in an 82-minute version on VHS, which would be too long for the CD. The CD is 80 minutes long. It's essentially designed as, again, just something you have on in the background, you don't even realise it. And there's a chord change about 20 minutes in when it really hots up. Oh man, the dynamics. Another album that's really good on CD is Ashra and its New Age of Earth. 70s classic ambient. It's incredibly influential. It's one of my favourite albums of that entire genre. It's up there with some of Tangerine Dream's finest. And that's no ifs, no
What's
buts.
the finest Tangerine Dream album?
Yes. Well, I'd have to say it's the one that hasn't come out, which is the Risky Business EPK kit, which is 33 minutes of music. But I really love Risky Business and I really love the Thief soundtrack. Okay. My other choice is Ambient Works.
That's better on CD than vinyl.
Better on CD and vinyl because the vinyl is about 200 quid and the CD is about a tenner. So you can actually get hold of it much easier and enjoy it because it's all about enjoying the music.
I sat in the row behind Aphex Twin on a Ryanair flight to Barcelona. Not very interesting. Don't know why I told you that. That was the first time I saw him. The second time I saw him was when he was actually playing Barcelona.
The first time I saw him was at the Custard Factory in Birmingham in 2002, where he did a midnight rave. And I think that may or may not be the one where he mic'd up the food mixer.
Nice.
Two other albums I think are better on CD. Obvious choice, Made in Heaven by Queen. Yeah. It's got 2 extra tracks, one of which is 4 seconds long of Freddie Mercury going yeah at the end, and the other one is, I think it's officially called track 13, and it's like a 30 minute long sort of ambient piece of just sort of synths looping over as background noise. The other one is Jean-Michel Jarre is a fraud. This is Citizen Concert Houston Leon. The original CD release is about 48 minutes. This is the release from the 10th anniversary box set in 1987. This is 73 minutes long. It's got 28 minutes of extra music, 2 extra songs, and every single track is extended. It's better on CD, this CD, if you can find it. But good luck because it's expensive.
Okay.
Album's better on vinyl.
Yep.
You can talk about this for the ages.
It's called The Wall. It's by the Pink Floyd.
Don't want to get banned.
Oops. And so this is it better on vinyl?
I think it's better on vinyl. For the same reason as I'm going to mention my particular pick, which is Thunder and Consolation by New Model Army.
Both very old albums.
Both very old albums. These came out in the era when vinyl was king. Vinyl was the primary medium. Thunder and Consolation specifically is mastered for vinyl as its primary sound carrier. You can hear this most especially on Green and Grey. Green and Grey on CD, because it's mastered originally for vinyl, has a very different timbre.
Quick, if you sniff the label, it smells different. Remember that guy in Middlesbrough?
Paddington Bear Hearts there. Oh, Dave. I lived with you in Middlesbrough. Fuck you, Dave.
Hey, language, Timothy.
Sorry, bleep you, Dave.
He made me stroke the label to the Sisters of Mercy When You Don't See Me, German 12-inch, because it was a slightly different paper to the Dr. Jeep one he had from England. And I thought, Jesus, even by my standards, that is boring.
Can we insert the Mark Commode gif where he hits himself on the head with it?
If you want, but we're not talking about Sex and the City 2. So, yes, so vinyl has a smaller dynamic range, which is probably mansplaining. It's me, mansplaining you. And so, therefore, if it's mastered for vinyl, it's going to be quieter on the CD and it's going to have a smaller dynamic range. But if you have CDs, you therefore are losing the loudness war anyway. What's dynamic range anyway? Feels like you're always shouting into a wind tunnel. Right. Is that okay?
Hey, man, that's cool.
Next question. Have you recently discovered an artist you'd forgotten or passed over?
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't thought about that.
So I'll answer this one. Oh, sorry, I won't show you my socks. Which is every time I do a NOTCAST, I go deep undercover into a band. It's really, really interesting because I did the Iron Maiden one the other day. I looked at Iron Maiden and I thought, I haven't really listened to them for a long time. In fact, I've only heard Senjutsu once, and that's probably once too often. But when I do a NOTCAST, what I do is I rediscover an artist. I go deep into it. I go on a thing called Jags. Jags are like when you've got a massive phase for something. Like some guys, they're like really into like football or cars or something. I go on Jags where I'm like, I'm going to be listening to this band a lot right now. And so the NOTCAST is really, really good for getting deep into a band and getting really under the skin of it and exploring it. So the bands which I'm listening to at the moment, which I will be NOTCASting about shortly, and I know one of you has them on your bingo cards. Pulp, actually, yep. right. And other bands, and you then kind of go, right, so I'm going to go deep into this band, I'm going to rediscover them. Not that I ever stopped loving Pulp, but I just stopped listening to Pulp, because sometimes I think music is like a sponge, and you squeeze it and you get everything out, and then you need it to get back into the world before you come back to it, which in Latin translates as inter alia, which means amongst other things.
Who did an album called Inter Alia?
Nobody.
Oh. I think it's the name of a venue in Birmingham, Inter Alia.
It's the utilitarian arena,
a
very utilitarian arena.
I was reminded of Saturnalia.
Oh, yes, by The Wedding Present. Shark Boy says buy more Wedding Present records.
Keir Starmer's favourite song is By the Wedding Present.
My favourite dress. Not my favourite.
You might like him.
What, not my favourite.
You might like him, you might hate him, but you can't like his music taste.
Not my favourite Wedding Present song, but there you are.
Oh, no, so, my favourite's Nobody's Twisting My Arm Anymore, which I still don't think I've ever seen them do.
They don't play it very often.
No,
my favourite are Bewitched, which they closed the show with last night, Interstate 5, Dalliance, and I am a huge fan of I Am Not Going to Fall in Love with You.
Oh, I'm also going to nominate my second favourite song as Flying Saucer.
Oh,
I'm going to bounce back to you.
That's Boeing.
I still like that one, and I like Flying Saucer for the name.
So, another question is for Graham.
This one?
For Graham, what bands have you recently discovered that you forgot? Tell me now!
I've been listening to a lot of the Waterboys recently. No real reason. I just had a Waterboy song as an earworm recently, and
Tell me.
Shark Soup was quite intimidating.
Tell me now! Is it safe? Okay, Waterboys.
So I've been listening to the Waterboys a lot recently. I've also been listening a lot to The Almighty, because Mark doesn't like them, and that's got no reference with it. I've just go through phases of listening to bands a bit obsessively for a few days in a row. The Waterboys are this one. Next week it will probably be someone like Machine Head. Who knows?
Okay, so next question. Sorry, I can't remember who asked this. If your house was on fire, what 3 things would you save?
My brother.
Assume people and pets are safe.
Oh, my 30-second bag. You've seen Heat, right?
Yeah, everyone's got a 30-second bag.
You in Heat, the film with Pacino and Robert De Niro.
Yeah, ain't that ferocious?
She's got an amazing. And then we cut that line out of the director's cut.
As one should.
There's a concept of have nothing in your life that you can't walk away from in 30 seconds. Well, in that case, you've got a 30-second bag, which is you've got to leave the house in 30 seconds. What's in it? And what would you put in that bag? And I would put basically my 2 boxes full of all my PC hard drives and my laptop, because that's my digital life and all my memories and all my work and pretty much everything else. I might, if I had extra time, get my passport, wallet, keys, etc. Do we take those as read?
Well, here's what I'd take with me. I'd take my hard drives, and I'd take physical photo albums, because they are unique copies of things. So signed stuff doesn't matter. And there's always, sometimes I've got rare unsigned copies of things are rarer than signed.
Is this like the Johnny Rotten autobiography?
Which we saw a rare unsigned copy of the John Lydon book in the
charity shop
the other day, which is possibly worth more than a signed copy. But no, I would go and save the hard drives and the photo albums.
The really weird thing is we can see what's happening on the screen, but because it's inverted, it's moving in the opposite direction to what I can see. And it's really freaky because I'm trying to watch, I've got Shark Guy going like this, and it's like,
but I know that's not what he's doing.
Flippers! Shark Guy has flippers. There you are. So, yes, we both...
I do not like the cone of shame. Okay, so question. Next question.
To all our listeners, we have just met you, and we love you. And so does Doug. Hi, Doug. Right, what's the next question?
Is it TV show?
TV shows.
Or is it Glenfoss?
No, shh. No spoilers. It's TV shows.
Okay, fine. So, what TV show would you recommend for people that they haven't seen it?
You have to answer first.
Okay, so I've got 2 recommendations. And the reason I've got 2 recommendations is because I'm greedy. So the first one is The World at War by the BBC. Now, obviously, being a man whose age starts with the number 5 and no hair, I have to be into World War II. That is the law, completely. In fact, I think there's a channel called the Nazi Channel, which specialises in that.
Oh, no, it's not officially called the Nazi Channel.
Is it the History Channel?
It's called the History Channel.
Because there is no history apart from the Nazis. But The World at War is absolutely essential watching. If you're into history, because it was shot, I think it was made in the early 80s, when the survivors of the First and Second World War were approaching the ages of 60 to 70.
71 to 72.
Yeah.
It was shot, and it was broadcast, I think, 74, 75.
31st of October 1973. And what they were very, very aware of at that time was that the people that had fought in the First World War
Second World
and the Second World War were getting old, getting dementia, and going to die. Which means that if you wanted to create a definitive documentary that told the story of the First World War and the Second World War, you had to interview the people in a very, very limited timescale, because people, despite our best efforts, do not live forever. Therefore, this is really the only document that is historically, contextually accurate and offers a perspective from people that were there, literal boots on the ground, in trenches, liberating Auschwitz in the First and Second World Wars, tied up with archive footage across 11 hours. This is a historical document that will be regarded as important as, you know, something like Primo Levi's writing in future, because this is a first-hand eyewitness account of what happened, spoken by the people that were there.
The other thing is that because it was done 30 or so years after, we've not got the glory of victory that taints it. You watch a lot of stuff from the late 40s, early 50s, and we're looking at, yes, it's contemporaneous, but you've got the morality of the time of, like, we glory, you know, you've never had it so good, and we won the war, and it's all about, you know, this is our vanguard against communism. There's none of that self-mythologizing in this.
Bash the Bosch.
No, we leave the self-mythologizing for our Maiden albums later on in the years.
Yeah.
I would also say the other thing that's kind of contemporaneous is it Shoah, the 9-hour documentary about the Jewish Holocaust.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, that is harsh. What's your second choice?
Well, my second choice actually is 1994. It is not Ghostwatch. Inspired by Ghostwatch, it is an American television film called Without Warning.
Good call.
And Without Warning, for those of you who don't know, it's firstly available on YouTube, absolutely free, and is kind of like a televisual version of the War of the Worlds. And Without Warning features a news broadcast that then takes over and details an asteroid or meteor that's heading towards the planet, aiming at, I think, is it Paris, Washington?
It's somewhere in the Midwest of America, I think.
Yeah, where the main nuclear bases is to wipe out the nuclear missile silos to prevent mankind from destroying itself.
Colorado.
Through nuclear war. And what they then realise as it goes on is that it's portrayed as a real-time emergency television broadcast that was broadcast on television. Same principles as Ghostwatch, but instead of Ghostwatch, where it's pipes, Mum, it's pipes, Without Warning is about the end of the world. And it is absolutely perfect, apart from one thing that will pull you out of it, which is one of the newscasters is John Delancey, who plays Q in Star Trek, who's presenting the news, but without his mariachi band.
It also has a brilliant final 30 seconds, which I did not see coming, and I love sort of narrative things which have that sort of ending. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the ghosts all along.
It's ghosts, Mum. It's ghosts. It's not aliens, Mum. I'm going to recommend The Expanse, which is like a huge budget sci-fi series from the last sort of 10 years or so. This is the season 1 to 3 box set.
How many seasons are there?
There's 6 in total. The first 3 you get on Blu-ray. The other, the 4 to 6 have been picked up by another streaming giant. It's a sci-fi series about where mankind has started to conquer the rest of the
outer space.
The rest of outer space. It's really gritty. It's very down to earth. It's very much sort of, you know, in that whole sort of lived-in environment. Blade Runner style environment.
Has it got Vera Farmiga in it?
I can't remember.
She's really good.
Oh, it doesn't say.
It's not listed, but I think that she's fantastic in Up in the Air.
And it's got Thomas Jane as well, and it's got
near perfect science fiction.
Jared Harris in a couple of bits and roles as well. Very much sort of underrated, very much sort of cool. My next question would be, we come to do this because not because it is easy, but because it is hard. And in that case, I am going to suggest
Graham Climbs Up the Stairs for an 11 series box set.
It'd be 12.
Okay. For All Mankind?
For All Mankind. Like so. For All Mankind.
It's 3 seasons.
There's 3 seasons so far. There's a 4th one on streaming. There's a 5th one that's being made. It's an alternate history about what would have happened if mankind... cover the price labels. If mankind's journey to the moon and the stars had changed slightly differently. As in, what if Russia got to the moon first?
Mm-hmm.
How would that affect world events? How would that then affect political events? How would that affect Watergate? How would that then affect the 80s? How would that then affect things like Ronald Reagan?
So here's a
It's a
conspiracy
fascinating
for you.
alternate history, and it's incredibly sort of grounded. And it's got some very, very unique concepts and scenes that I've
really
never
good,
seen.
actually. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
yeah.
But what I will say, and here's a concept for you, and if you use this, you must pay me, is the Russians only ever announce things after they had happened so that they never publicise their failures. So what if the Russians got cosmonauts to the moon in 1968, but they died in the landing, and the only way you'd ever find out is some guy with a telescope looking at it and going, what on earth is that?
Well, this is where the history of the N1 rocket and so forth comes into face, because it had 34 different rocket chambers.
Which rocket?
The Soviet N1 rocket, or is it the N5, which had 34 separate ignition chambers, whereas Saturn had 3, which meant there's much more individual points of failure.
Exactly. Oh, well, also, I'd like to point out, when I get older, I want a Buran.
We know what the next question is. We know what the last question
We're
is.
talking about space.
Talking of space, here's something very spacey indeed.
The Worst Book by Philip K. Dick, Vulcan's Hammer. He wrote 8 books in this year. He was tripping balls, to put it technically, and said that by the time it got to the last one, it was gibberish.
This is the last one.
Pick a number.
35.
35. Okay, so let's find a random sentence on page 35. I feel like I'm doing card tricks now. As he gingerly seated himself on a delicate-looking straight-back chair, he thought to himself, for this woman, being married to a Unity official had been a profitable career. You have very nice things here, he said. He surveyed her, seeing, he decided, one of the prettiest women that he had ever come across. Her face had a look of shock, a residue from the terrible news of her husband's death, but she seemed composed. She led him up to the steps to the house, walking very slowly. Don't write 8 books in a year.
It's a bad idea, but there's a reason for this. Who did the cover of this? Chris Foss. Chris Foss is a very well-renowned 70s artist. There's also other work that Chris Foss has done, mainly anything like this. We'll have to look at page 30. But the question that was asked was very simple. Chris Foss or Glenn Brown? Now, that is an example of Chris Foss's work, this photo here.
Yeah, basically, rejected prog rock covers from the 70s.
Oh, there's a lot of Chris Foss 70s album covers. We can't pretend there isn't. Yeah?
Aqualung. Thank you. Anyway. Chris Foss.
Enough flute. Chris Foss or Glenn Brown. Now,
who's Glenn Brown?
Glenn Brown is an artist who seems to have named all his paintings after Joy Division songs. It's like there's one called like Exercise 1.
Unknown Pleasures.
Yeah, Interzone
Wilderness
for Ian Curtis, and they're all named after Joy Division songs, and they all very much at the beginning they sell for millions. I think like one of them
sold for 3.5 million.
I think one of them sold for 5 million. And what they are is essentially he's taken the work of Chris Foss.
Hello. So
and recopied it,
yeah,
and put it on big. Originally, the Chris Foss things, I think they're A3 or A4 size.
Yeah,
the photos. So no, A2 or A3.
So what does this guy do that's different? He just makes them much bigger and much darker, and they're almost exactly identical in the same. It might as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure he has one that's based upon this painting here. It's called Love Will Tear Us Apart, and instead of being in yellow and brown, it's in grey and black.
No, it's actually called Martin Hanning's Drum Tech.
Yeah,
Hash 34.
Or Hacienda Lift 16. So there you go.
I love the Hacienda Lift 16 PL Session version.
Yeah.
I've got to admit.
Still screaming, Rachel Pitt appeared in front of him, her face torn with hysteria. She had accidentally bought a Jeff Brown painting, but realised it was actually by Chris Foss, and she had massively overpaid. Don't write 8 books in a year.
Yeah. So Glenn Brown is
an
arsehole. Plagiarist. He's an original. He may watch this, and he's a technician. Yeah, he's a copyist. He's a man who put bands. Yeah, he's a tracing paper copyist. Yeah, I want to see what he can do for himself, not what he can copy from other people.
You're an unimaginative piece of shit that should be designing jacket covers for Aldi's knockoff cookies.
If the best thing you've got to say artistically is stealing someone else's work and passing it off as your own, I think we need to speak to trading standards. Okay.
Well, that said, the phrase I'm about to use has undoubtedly been used by other people.
Go on.
Which is shit off, fuck pocket.
Oh, that's nice.
And so
I'll have to remember that. Compound swearing is a very fun game. Oh, hang on. You tell me off, so then you go and do it yourself. Hypocrite. Who do you think you are? Anyway, talking to this, up Count Beanface, vote for Count Beanface. He promised to turn Birmingham into a spaceport.
And nationalise Adele.
And we want a spaceport.
Yeah,
there is a
absolutely.
spaceport in the UK, you know, in the Shetlands,
But
not in Birmingham.
Chris Foss has to design the spaceport.
Yes, and
Is
it
he
has
dead
to.
or is he alive?
He's still alive. He lives in Island White in a sort of like 3-bedroom, up and down detached house.
I've probably driven past his
And
house.
the other point is that that's where he lives. He lives in London, and in the meantime, none of his paintings have ever sold for 5 million. So if you're going to be rich and you're going to be an artist, I think all this proves is that
Talent borrows and genius steals.
you just have to steal other people's work and pass it off as your own.
That's right.
Fuck you, Glenn Brown. Fuck you. So you're a disgrace to the Joy Division name.
Have you noticed, by the way, I'm going to launch myself a new musical career. I'm going to call myself John Michael Carr, and I'm going to do synth epics with names like Waiting for the Cocteau Twins and Ronde Nonce. So there you go. Yeah, completely. I obviously not
Equivalence,
equivalence,
not yeah.
equivalence, esquivalence.
Equivalence,
Unmagnetic unfields.
Oxyacetylene.
Yeah, exactly.
Oxyacetylene, I think, is by Q&A.
Yeah. So there we have it. So that's a second Q&A. My apologies if you wanted to see James. We were just having a lovely time chatting.
We didn't see James, we saw the wedding present.
But we saw James, saw Keith, Sharon, saw Claire, you saw Lindsay as well.
Yeah, a few
loads of other people. Really nice to get out of the house, which after so many years of being locked in, it's nice to clock off.
Now, Shark Suit Boys get a success message for you. It's like, don't go swimming when the red flags are up. Thank you very much for coming in. And he's going to swim off now. I'm going to get you, little fishy.
All right. Bye. I'm Woody. Bye.
I am Doug. And goodbye to you. Bye.